Hello, Globetrotters. Welcome to our Alaska Ride webinar. I'm very, very excited to talk to you about this. It holds a very special place in my heart, and I do have a very special guest who joined me on the ride, or the exploratory ride last year. So the beautiful Leslie will be speaking about it as well at some point. But yeah, very, very excited to share my experience of Alaska. When I was thinking about what I wanted to say about this ride and preparing for this, I was like, why does this ride hold a really, really special place in my heart? And I thought about it for a while because I have been fortunate enough to ride all over the world. Really lucky with what I can do and what I have seen, and I've been to places like Africa and Patagonia and Iceland. So why did Alaska just imprint on my heart? And I think I came to the realization that it was the peace that it gave me being out there in complete and utter wilderness. Like, there has been nowhere else that I've ridden to, like even in Mongolia, which is another favorite place of mine, but Alaska was just that so much further removed. And with all the noise and everything that is happening in the world and everything on the global news, I think to be able to completely lose yourself and tune out of all of that noise and find the freedom in that was just so special. And I think that's really what attracted me and appealed and made Alaska the trip that it was. The peace, the freedom, and even the silence, like just there is no one around. It's absolutely magical. So let me get started. Welcome to Alaska. As you can see, it is next level amazing. The colors, the vibrancy, it is just beautiful. You fly from Anchorage on a seaplane into this beautiful, beautiful lodge. I don't think I realized the extent of how just so rugged and remote the location was until I was in that seaplane looking down at the landscape below me and realizing there are no roads. Like, you physically cannot get to where you're going unless you are flying in or you're riding a horse. Like, it was just insane. And like, the further away from Anchorage we went, it just became wilderness. And every now and again, there would just be a house that you could see from a distance, but again, no roads around it. Generally, the lodge was sort of situated next to a lake so that you could fly a seaplane in and land and access it that way. But that was it. Like, that was the most amazing thing. Being in the location that it is, you are at the mercy of Mother Nature. So you have to just let go of all sort of preconceived notions and just go with the flow. What I loved also about it was the fact that you do follow parts of the Iditarod Trail. So that is the amazing dog sled race that happens over the winter there. In fact, you will actually make it to the highest point of the Iditarod Trail during the ride, which was pretty cool. So there are everything from snow-capped mountains. You'll have Denali National Park in the background as well, to river crossings through like fast flowing river crossings. You'll be riding through beaver ponds. You'll be scaling sort of shaly cliff areas. It's just one of those places where everything is varied. Like, all the scenery is constantly changing. And whilst it was quite interesting, I do recall when we first started sort of discussing this ride and thinking about going there, and the beautiful hosts sort of warned us, it is going to be walk only. Like, it's that sort of terrain. And in my head, I was like, surely not. Like, I'll find some places where you can trot and canter. Sorry to break it to you, but it's not possible. But do you know what? It doesn't even matter, because you are just able to take it all in and be present in the moment and absorb it all. And what you are riding through will blow your mind. Like we had hip waders on, which you might see in some photos soon. And you needed them because you are riding through bracken that is scratching your legs right up to your thighs, and you're going through massive bogs, and like just the ruggedness of the terrain just really lends itself to how remote you are going to be, which is just, yeah, fascinating for me. Let's talk about the star of the show, the horses. These horses, I take my hat off to them. You're riding Norwegian fjords. That was a first for me. I had not ridden them before, and I have an absolute newfound respect for these horses. They will not put a foot wrong. They did not put a foot wrong. And what we were riding across was insane, to be completely honest. They will forge across rivers. They will literally heave themselves up out of bogs. I could not say enough good things about the horses. On day one, well, on official day one, when you were riding away from the lodge into the wilderness, they're sort of a bit like, what's going on? Why are we having to leave home where we get fed all the time? But once day two kicks in, they are on a mission, and they are focused, and they are just ready to do whatever you ask of them. I mean, the fact that I could literally launch my drone, not getting off my horse, and land it again, not getting off my horse, I've never been able to do that before. That really speaks volumes of just how level-headed they are and how beautiful they are. I know Leslie, when we speak to her, she will say the same thing. Like, these horses are truly, truly built for this terrain and built for this job. And they, yeah, cannot and will not put a foot wrong. They are incredible. Let's talk about the hosts. The Perrins family honestly welcomed us with open arms. I've never felt so at home with complete strangers, but they were strangers for about 30 seconds, and then they were family. What I loved about them is when we landed at the lodge, so you fly in on the seaplane, you land on the lake, and you sort of taxi across to the edge. Every single member of their team there on site comes and shakes your hand as you're getting out of the seaplane, and they are all there to greet you. I'm like, everyone from the maintenance staff to the cook to the kids, every single person who works at that lodge comes and shakes your hand, and that's just the greeting. And then they do it at the end as well. When you fly out, they're all there to shake their hand, to shake your hands. Stephen and Carly and their beautiful children were just, yeah, incredible people. They have put so much hard work into this lodge and this ride and this experience. This is the first time they are doing it, and I am just so excited for my Globetrotters to share the experience that they're offering. It is a generational place. So you may end up meeting Stephen and Denise, Stephen Senior. It's that, yeah, like, I cannot stress how welcome we all felt from the moment we touched down. And it was the little details as well that they sort of focused on. And like, Stephen was our main guide, and he was also our cook, and he, like, one morning we had pancakes, but he'd been listening to our conversations, engaging with us during each day, and he made each of us a different pancake for just for our personalities or what we've been talking about. So I got a bear because I've been talking about wanting to see a bear all the time. Someone else got a music note because she'd been singing a lot. Like, it's just those little details. They listen, they understand, they empathize, they just love to share their love of this wilderness and this incredible place. beautiful, beautiful people. An amazing sort of intimate group setting of 4 guests. So you've got four guests, and then lead guide who's Stephen, and then a backup guide. So it's a beautiful, beautiful group of 6. And what I love about that is the fact that you actually get to have some really deep and meaningful and profound conversations with everyone. You are the only souls in that area for miles upon miles upon miles. You will not see anyone else. I promise you that much. It's so remote that it just sort of lends itself to just opening up and just being present with everyone and leading to those incredible conversations about anything and everything. With such a small group, like it is sort of intimate living quarters and situations, but everyone's just from the moment you're sort of thrown in all together, it's just so much fun. And yeah, the beauty of a small group is really getting to know everyone intimately and personally as well, and relating to them. So the lodge, well, the cabins, on the first and last nights, you are bookended with accommodation at the beautiful, beautiful family lodge. I mean, the views from the dining room alone of the mountain and the lake in the foreground, it's, I just remember my jaw dropping to the ground and just going, oh my God, I wish I could live here. The cabins themselves are all handmade. So how all of that works is that when it's winter and everything is frozen over, they will, on ski doors or sleds, they will literally like take in logs that way, and all the wood and everything. And then when everything's thawed out, that's when they build it. And it's an incredible thing to see. So they're very intimate, like bunk beds, mattresses, the kitchen and the sort of seating area all in there together. Some are a little bit bigger than others. Some are a little bit more rustic than others. But it works. Like you are literally in the middle of nowhere. So just keep in mind, like no showers. There are long drop toilets. They have amazing views, I will say that, as I'm sure Leslie will also say. But yeah, it is very basic on those nights when you are out in the wilderness, but you are always going to be coming back to a hot shower at the very end when you get back to the lodge. So that I remember just being out and loving every minute of it. I mean, the beauty about Alaska is it's not super hot, so you're not getting sweaty. Like it doesn't matter that there's no showers, like none of that matters. And the cabins themselves are actually quite dark at night, which is really good for sleeping because the sun doesn't set. That was the other good thing. Time stands still in Alaska because it just you just lose track of it. And I think that's a really wonderful thing, to not have to be looking at your watch constantly. Like some days we'd wake up at 9 o'clock in the morning, not even realizing it's 9 o'clock in the morning, and we probably wouldn't get going until about 11 o'clock in the morning, and we probably wouldn't get to the next cabin until about 8 o'clock at night, but no one knew what the time was. And I think that's a really incredible thing, especially when you're on holiday, to not even be worried about the time. Sometimes, like, we probably wouldn't go to sleep until 1 o'clock in the morning, but you just didn't know that because no one had a watch, and it just didn't matter. Who will love Alaska? I think you need to have a sense of adventure. You need to be able to go with the flow. No two itineraries are going to be the same. And by that, I mean, you are literally at the mercy of the weather and Mother Nature and what Mother Nature decides to throw at you. I think you need to be able to be the sort of person who seeks the freedom of being off grid, of living primitive for a bit, and having the reward of being in one of the most remote but magical locations on earth. I mean, it is literally America's last frontier. I think someone who's searching for, I mean, I'm not woo-woo, but if you're just searching to just get away from all the noise of everyday life. I mean, as an example, when we happened to be in the wilderness of Alaska, apparently there was a big earthquake off the coast of Alaska. We had zero idea, didn't feel anything, but we did get back to messages. Well, I got back to messages of like, are you okay? Like, what's happening? And honestly, wouldn't have had a clue. And I think that's magical in itself. I want to introduce you to the beautiful Leslie, who rode with me on our exploratory ride. Leslie is in Northern California and they are having bad storms, so her video is not working. But Leslie, welcome. How are you?
I'm great, Laura. What a beautiful description of our ride. I'm sitting here reliving the trip because you brought it to life so well. I hope everybody else on the call is enjoying it as much as I am.
Oh,
You just did a wonderful job of taking me back there.
Oh, thank you. Well, let's start, Leslie, really quickly because I'm conscious of the time. But just tell me, when you first booked Alaska, what you were expecting, and then what you actually experienced. Like, was there a yeah? Just tell me about that sort of experience. Like, what did you come in thinking it would be like, and what did you leave with?
Well, I'm lucky, I guess. I had been to Alaska before, although many years ago. So I was expecting big and beautiful and remote. Um, and I had ridden with you before, and so I was expecting, a wonderful camaraderie and so that I guess one of the things that surprised me the most was that all of my expectations were just blown totally out of the water because it was even so much more wonderful than I expected. Um, I um, I was really just pretty open to it all. I love remote and I love desolation but again, all of the things that I like, I got, but hundreds of times more than I expected. I don't know how else to put it. I was not worried about the riding. And I was a little bit worried about getting cold, but um, but that wasn't, that didn't turn out to be an issue. I was a little bit worried about the weather, and we had beautiful weather a couple of days, and then cloudy weather the rest. And one morning it rained until we got on our horses, and then it magically stopped because that's how I guess we were all living right or something. But it would have been okay if it had kept raining. It was just that kind of a place.
Absolutely. And tell me about the horses and sort of your experience there, because I know, yeah, it was like new to ride Norwegian fjords as well for
Oh my
you.
gosh. Well, I was saying earlier, I've never ridden horses better suited for their jobs. Um, I I ride on very technical trails a lot in Northern California, along part of the Tevis Trail. And so I'm used to rocks and crossings and bridges and drop-offs and things like that. But good grief, I could not point my horse at a beaver dam and expect him to go right through it. I couldn't have expected them to walk along river bottoms or cross the rivers we crossed, or point them at what looks like solid brush and have them put their heads down and just go through it and come out without a scratch. I don't, their feet were great. They were fit, they were willing. They were absolutely up to everything we asked of them. There were some areas where we got off and walked because it was just best, and perfect, absolutely solid citizens through that whole exercise. There was just and I've ridden in Glenarchy and in Canada and in Africa, and so I've my choice of rides generally asks for a horse that isn't easily flustered, but these guys got the gold medal.
Didn't they ever? That's the most beautiful description of them too. Like you have a way with words, Leslie, I must say. Um, what is sort of one thing or like a trick or a tip or something that you would say to someone who's thinking about doing Alaska or has already booked for the next 2 seasons? Like, what's something you'd recommend they take or they do or something like that?
Oh my gosh. Well, um, Laura didn't mention, but I think you guys should all know. See that saddlebag on the back of the horse I'm riding? You get two of those, one on each side, and one of them holds a sleeping bag. So everything that you're going to need for 6 days is going to go into one saddlebag. And I needed to bring, some liquid refreshments, and so that took up part of a saddlebag. So just think in terms of being warm and layers, and all the things you don't need. One of the beautiful things about Alaska is that you realize how little you really need,
Yeah.
and so that would be something to think about. I got along just fine with one saddlebag, and we had one of our friends with us that I don't think has ever traveled anywhere without a full-on trunk, and she managed to do it too. So you'll get by just fine, but it's a little bit hard to wrap your head around if you haven't thought about it in advance.
That's very good advice. I did not mention the saddlebags, but that's so true. All you need is literally a spare set of clothes and then some layers, and you can definitely tie layers onto your saddles as well. I mean, that's the beauty of Western tack. Like you've got all those nooks and crannies and spare ties where you can just be tying things on. But I love the fact that it just makes you realize how little that you need in life to live a fulfilled life. I think that's an incredible point, Leslie.
One more thing I might mention, if I could, is to get over quickly the idea of it being either uncomfortable or weird to ride in hip waders,
Yes.
um, because I scratched my head and I thought, oh my gosh, what if they don't fit? What if my feet get cold? What if I can't ride? What if it gets caught? I mean, all those what ifs, and none of that happened. Laura mentioned earlier how important they are, but they won't get in the way of you having a wonderful riding experience. And they're fine to hike in. I mean, it's simply amazing. They're great quality, and if you're thinking about that being a problem, I'd urge you to not.
Absolutely. Good tip. Thank you. Thank you, Leslie. Okay, I'm going to wrap it up, guys. So it's 8 days, 7 nights. You do need to have good saddle fitness. The days can be incredibly varied. As I said, no 2 days are the same, but fitness is really important. There will be times where you will have to dismount and lead your horse. It's not often, and it's certainly not every day, but there are going to be a couple of places. So keep that in mind. It's always going to be in July over those summer months. However, it is Alaska, so you do need to come prepared for some cooler weather for sure. What I love is the price literally includes everything. The only thing you have to reach into your pocket for is a $25 seaplane pilot tip. Everything else is included. All the tips for the staff, your sleeping bag hire, your seaplane flight. You just need to get yourself to Anchorage, and the rest is taken care of for one of the most incredible weeks of your life. Visit our website. We've got limited spaces available for the next 2 seasons and beyond. But visit our website. Please ask me any questions. Reach out. Send in an inquiry form. Happy to answer any questions and help you out. And let's go to some questions. If anyone has any, please put them in the chat. Suitable for kids. To be completely honest, I'm going to say no. I would suggest children be about 12 years of age to be able to do this. It is parts of it are incredibly challenging just in terms of how rugged and remote and so far removed from civilization you are. And also saddle hours could vary, like again, depending on the weather. Like you might do a 4-hour day or you might do a 12-hour day. It just depends. Great question, Renee. Issues with bugs. So it is an area that is known for mosquitoes. We did spray all our clothing, and I honestly didn't find a problem at all. Like with everything sprayed, I didn't notice any mosquitoes. The only time I did was sitting right next to the lake at the main lodge. And again, they weren't that bad. So I would suggest definitely spraying yourself and your clothing with some sort of DEET, or I think Leslie did have some like a really good thing. We can definitely research some good chemicals that aren't going to completely murder you, but yeah, spray your clothes and you should be fine. Jolie, you do not need to bring chaps. I took my boots and my chaps thinking I'd be riding in them. I didn't at all. I rode it. You will literally ride in your hip waders every single day. You will live in them. When you're off the horse, all you do is just pull them down and have them like halfway down your legs and just walk around in that. Like I didn't even take my riding boots with me when we went on the ride. They stayed back at the lodge. Hip waders is super, super, super. Just, I cannot say enough. Helmets are not compulsory. No, it's completely up to you. If you do want to ride in one, you do need to bring them because I don't believe they are available to borrow. And no, there are no tents. It's all cabins. So they're sort of situated at certain points along the route. That means that you certainly don't have to get into like you can certainly make it to the next cabin without having to sort of camp halfway. So I think for one, I was appreciative of having a roof over my head and having that coziness of a cabin. Some of them had, like one of them in particular, had a beautiful wood burning fire. So we roasted marshmallows one night, which was absolutely phenomenal. Anchorage, so the seaplane flight, I don't know how long it is in distance, but the seaplane flight from Anchorage to where the lodge was it was just over an hour from memory. Don't ask me the distance, I'm sorry. And I also don't work in miles, I work in kilometers. But I do remember like 5 minutes into the trip, we just lost sight of civilization. That was brilliant for me. That's the mark of a true trip. Did I see a bear? I saw two bears. They were from a distance, but being an Aussie, having not really had that experience before, I was just it was amazing. They were from a distance. I did put the drone up, and I flew the drone around and sort of caught them on camera there. But we saw one grizzly and one black bear, and we also saw a moose. So that was cool. Just a word on the wildlife. I do think our group, we were always talking, or I was singing or something. So I think that scared away a lot of the wildlife. But it's also a bit of a interim season in the sense that a lot of the bears haven't come down off the tops of the mountains yet for the fruit and berries and things. So just keep that in mind. It's never guaranteed. Beautiful Stephen, the host, was, we were always like, we need to see a bear. Come on, Stephen. So he found them all for us in the end. He was always with his binoculars and trying to find them. Joanna, horse welfare. Yes, absolutely. I cannot say enough good things about the Perrins family and how they treat their beautiful horses. Keep in mind, it is Alaska. These horses don't sort of live in domestication. They do roam quite freely. So there may be a little scratch on them here or there from what you will see is the ruggedness and of the terrain and the bracken and the fern and all of that. But Stephen and Carly adore their horses. They are so well looked after. They are beautiful, beautiful animals. That is Globetrotting's number one priority when we go and road test a ride. Number one is making sure horse welfare is paramount. So I give these guys a massive, massive tick of approval. They love their horses just as much as their family. Bear spray, no, definitely not necessary. None of us had bear spray, and you also don't go off by yourself either. So I'm sure Stephen probably had something like that in his saddlebag, but it was, we never, ever, ever needed it. So we saw them from a distance. Again, I do believe it's the horses and the hooves and everything on the ground that essentially just keeps them away. So that was not necessary, which was lovely, and we just got to enjoy it. I think that's everyone's questions, and I'm conscious I've taken a lot of time, so thank you so much, everyone. I hope you've gotten a bit of the love of Alaska. It is one ride that I would go back tomorrow and do, I would live there in my heart of hearts. It was just one of those incredible places. So any questions, please reach out. That's what I'm here for. And email me. Lots of love. Thank you everyone for joining. And I hope we can welcome you on this ride or another ride at some point. Okay. Thank you very, very much. Bye.